absolutely the best time of day right now, and it is exactly, I have no idea. And who cares anyway? We're in Bali. You wake up as early as you can, you stay awake as long as you possibly can, maybe sleep a couple of hours, and then start the whole process again. But there are a couple of dangers, and the biggest one is you. I'm in, like I don't know where I am actually. But I do know exactly where I am here, and that is Sulaban Beach, which is Uluwatu, one of the most highly rated surf beaches in the entire universe. It's rated at number 4 for the best surf in the world. This is the little paddle out, and it's a real suck. Like, it's really, really sucks out there. So if those people on the shore were to even get into my depth, but just beyond that sand, and when it gets into the green, so the deeper area, they'd get sucked straight out. And I mean, there'd be surfers around probably to save them, but the point is in Bali that there isn't much surf life-saving. Australians went over and we taught them, and we set up the surf life-saving process and situation, blah blah blah, whatever I'm trying to say, in Kuta and Legian, but that's maybe a couple of the other beaches, but that's about it. But all of these little beaches, there's nobody to save you except for those people that are around. So this is where Bali becomes really dangerous. Tragically, people die every year from drowning, and it's very, very easy to drown in a very, very simple situation, even just like that. So look, get your swimming skills up and know your dangers, and just try to at least limit yourself as much as you possibly can. Now we are in Poppy's Lane 2, and the locals call this the Gaza Strip. It's a really dangerous spot, as he giggles. I'm sorry about that. Very, very unfortunate and badly timed. But we're talking about only at night, really. I mean, during the day it's pretty much fine. There are, like, I've seen guys like riding around in gangs of 3 or 4 on motorbikes, just like with their eyes open. So if you're waving your phone around in midair, taking a selfie, then you might lose it. It's possible, but it's very rare. But at night, it's not rare. Like, as I said, this is known as the Gaza Strip. I don't know why I laugh. Yeah, opportunistic thieves, but also this lady here would lose her handbag, and they'd be off around this corner where I'm just about to go, maybe hand it to another chap, and off they'd go. But also they will stop you and mug you. It's possible. It happens on a probably nightly basis. These guys, this is a whole nother story here. This is a little chap being escorted by a couple of would-be Harley Davidson riders for reasons that I won't go into. You know, if you're walking down these lanes alone at night with a bit of a wobble on, then you know you might be stopped. You might be stopped in a friendly way and pickpocketed. You might be stopped in a friendly way initially, and then eventually it comes to push and shove, or just like, give me your money, and off they go. And you wake up in the morning and go, what did I do last night? Well, anyway, that was what I did. But so yeah, like, it's street smarts, and this is what you're doing, is you're learning all about them. And again, it's going to come back to you. Like, this is your fault. It's your fault because you've been on your own. You've had money on you. You've had valuables. You've been waving them around. You've been showing off. You've been not keeping a low profile, and not sort of just being cautious as a traveller. There's security guys sitting right there in the middle of the day. I mean, there are reasons that these people are around, because things happen, like in any single country. Bali is really safe. Bali is super, super duper safe. But it comes down to you, and you got to have your wits about you. Keep your head up, keep your eyes open, and you will be fine. The number of travellers losing their lives in Bali from either misadventure, natural causes, or foul play is unfortunately steadily increasing. For example, each year around 48 Australians lose their lives, which equates to one person every 8 days. So imagine the total amount of travellers from around the globe. The deaths included those of Nolene Bishkov and her daughter Ivana, 14, who died from a rare form of food poisoning in January. And last August, legendary surfboard shaper Alan Byrne died after a motorbike crash. Look, I'm so very sorry to these people and their families, and only mention their names specifically to make it real for the benefit of those who are watching this video in the name of raising awareness. The figures provided by the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade also showed 118 Australians fell ill or were admitted to hospital, and 20 were arrested over the 12 months. Hundreds more needed consular help after experiencing problems related to alcohol and drugs, which were the biggest cause of trouble, therefore relating to nightclub fights. So, every other nightclub in the entire world, people go out, they get loose, and then they get crazy. Which brings us to the local alcohol, which is called Arak. If you've ever wondered how they can do those 2-for-1 cocktails so cheaply in Bali, the answer is Arak. It's a traditional Balinese liquor that derives from the palm tree. A few years back, over 25 people died from a single batch, and that was the regulated Arak taxed and sold in stores, not the traditional stuff that you can just buy from the markets in plastic bags. If you just think of it as moonshine, which is fine, unless you get a dodgy brewer. So when Arak is made, there's a point in the process when the methanol needs to be scraped off. And if you know how to make alcohol, you'll know exactly when that moment is. And it's not unique to Arak. The same thing happens in top shelf vodkas and whiskies. A large amount of the methanol needs to be scraped off the top of it at exactly the right moment and then disposed of before it's finished being distilled and bottled. So, the 2-for-1 cocktails contain Arak and can be dangerous, even in as much as that stuff is potent. And a couple of cocktails can knock your socks off, which may be the desired effect that you were looking for. But the worst case scenario is that you'll get methanol poisoning, and that will mean hospitalisation and possible death. Right on the left there, we're looking at the Bali Memorial, which is, of course, the memorial for the Bali bombings, where 88 Australians died. I think more than 200 people died in the bombings. Now, on that, where that lady's standing, and that round section there is where all of the street punks gather at night, because this is the nightclub area in Kuta, and they are all herded to there by the local security guards, which you'll see later in the video, that hang around the nightclub area to help out with the local punks that are looking for trouble, any kind of trouble that they can find, in as much as they can grab money and or women, people. I don't know. Like, it's dangerous at night, if you're a bit out of control. So that area there, that whole little round section, they all sit around on that gutter, and they're all gathered there by the local Pechalan. I always get that word wrong. So this is like we're right now going into the really crucial big part of the Kuta night strip, with the Sky Garden coming up. And yeah, look, all sorts of happenings here, just as a normal nightclub strip. Think of it as King's Cross, Sydney. So it's only, it's a little bit worse than that, in that people are specifically hanging around to wait for an opportunity to run amok with with you and your belongings or your money or your look. I've got something coming up, and we'll go through it, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. Enter this guy in the black, in the blue jeans on the left there, with the baseball cap backwards and the cigarette, standing there right in front of camera now. He is checking me out because I've got my camera. I was sitting there and I'm just grabbing some B-roll footage of people walking by, street, people watching. And he has spotted my camera, which is on a tripod, and it's sitting on the bar bench that he's in a laneway there. And I've just got it sitting on the tripod and pointed, and I'm sitting behind it, probably at that stage drinking a beer. And he's thinking, all right, here's an opportunity. Like, what can we do with this? Now, he just happens to have a couple of mates with him. And so he's given a little signal here. and along they come. He's going, all right, boys, we're on to something here. We might be able to get something going. Here they are now, the two guys, and they go, yeah, just come over here. We'll talk about it. He's like, all right, yeah, you just see on the left there. There's a guy. There's a camera. Like he's got a nice little tripod. Looks like a good setup, and we might be able to grab that and run how we're going to do it. So we might be able to, head down this lane, etc. So here they're sort of plotting and planning and scheming and talking, and they're good at it. Like they're not sort of, they didn't really pay me much attention after initially he really hadn't checked me out at first, that guy on the left. And now they're going, all right, well, maybe we can, the music's blazing away. I can't hear them, but the music's blazing away, and I thought, well, yeah, I mean, well, what about you? You could, yeah, well, if you do that and then you grab it and maybe like I throw it to you and you head down there, or should we go down the lane? I don't know, like, let's think about it. So they're obviously not very good at it, but they're planning and they're plotting. So what I did was, I spotted this a mile off. So I gave this guy a nod because I have a big strap attached to my tripod. So I held up my hand there. You see my hand went through the shot, and I just showed him the strap. And he's given me the nod, the guy in white. And he just went, yeah, okay, cool, I get it, man. Like you're onto us. We'll move on. So they would have just been grabbing my camera and going. And yeah, they would have been off down that laneway or off down the street, grab it to someone else on foot, because I was pretty much tucked in there in that bar, and it would have been hard to get out of. These are the local security guys here, and they are lurking in the shadows. Great men they are. I always get their name wrong. I'm going to say Pechalan. I don't know. I need to Google it, man. But yeah, I'm talking to that guy and thanking him and saying, like, hey, thanks heaps for looking after the players. He goes, yeah, that's all good. So literally in the shadows there, and these are the ones that have herded up the real street punks and taken them down to the memorial, which is just down the road there that you can see. Well, you can't see it, but you're like just down the road there. And they sort of say, all right, you guys can hang here, stay back from the nightclub. Here's another guy. He's a security guy. He's a local Balinese security guy. I don't know how they're paid or how they work, but they're organised. They're very subtle. I've never seen them swing into action, and perhaps that's because they don't really need to. They just need to. They know the scumbags. They say, all right, head over there, behave yourselves, and we'll be around. And so, what a fantastic thing that they're doing there, and they are keeping the place incredibly safe. But again, it's going to come back to you. If you're on your own and you're wobbling and you've had those big cocktails and you're into it and you're looking for a big night, well, a big night can end up in a big problem. These boys are, one of them's on the cocktails there, the other one's on the beer. So the smart guy is the one with the beers, even though he's still able to enjoy himself nicely. The other one, maybe not so smart, he's got a big cocktail thing. So go for these Bintang beers. They taste fantastic, and they're in a bottle. This is another good option. It's a vodka in a bottle. It's not very strong. I've never managed to get drunk on it, but yeah, at least it's in a bottle with a cap on it, and you can see them take the cap off, and then you will be sold that bottle. So given that bottle. So yeah. This guy's coming along here. I had a few too many. Now he's watch this guy. There's a driver, a Balinese driver, that was with him, and he's like sort of escorted him. I don't know if he's like taking him. I don't know if he's helping him, or I don't know if he was sort of maybe taking him into a dangerous situation. But let's have another look at this. Here's our driver in the black and white striped shirt there, keys in hand, and he's with the guy without the shirt with some kind of thing on his arm, which is either a cut or I don't know what. And yeah, he's taking him off down that same laneway. There's a big parking area down the back there. It could be just that I hailed him in the street and said, yeah man, you need a taxi car, where do you want to go? And then the guy's gone, yes, I do. And, yeah, my car's just down here. Hopefully what would have happened is he just took him to his car, and he would have taken him to the next nightclub place, maybe in Seminyak, or, maybe off to some other sort of dodgy situation, which maybe the bloke was looking for. I don't know. That's the 14 Roses Beach Hotel.
Now this lane is sort of dark enough to be, if you're drunk, stumbling, female and or male, and you got money on you, then you possibly could get into trouble, but you know, use caution. But you can see it's getting bloody dark. Dudes on bikes trying to figure out how to ride them.
There's a lot of guys that ride around on motorbikes, and they'll be offering you fake street drugs. They're all day and all night. They just ride around. If you're sitting at a street side warung, they'll just pull up on the bike and say, "Yeah, you want some Viagra? You want some Cialis?" They'll start with that. They'll start with the easy stuff, and then when you go a little bit deeper, the next will be Valium, and then you get to the point where they'll be offering you oxycodone. Whatever you want to do, just do it. But they're fake street drugs.
Holding on for dear life at up to 5 kilometres an hour back there. Well, good on them. Gets them out and about and a bit of a look around. And you got some wheels underneath them. They're not limited to the amount of travel that your feet can do.
Indeed, Wazza. Look, it's incredibly dangerous to ride a motorbike in Bali, but I'm not going to start preaching about that because I love riding my bike, as you can see here, and I ride like a freaking madman. So I've been riding forever. I've been riding a lot of mountain bikes, so avoiding trees. So these trees here keep moving in Bali. But I digress. The traffic in Bali, the only thing that I can really liken it to is walking down the footpath. So if you're in Australia, for instance, there's imagine a footpath or an escalator, in a shopping mall. So there's kind of a rule that you stick to the left, kind of. But then if you want to go faster than the person in front of you, then you kind of overtake wherever you want when you're walking down the footpath, right? Are you with me so far? So there are people coming at you the other way. But if there's nobody coming the other way and you can see that it's clear, well, then you can just, do whatever you want, right? If there's 4 people in front of you, you can go right over to the right of the footpath and just walk around them. That's how the traffic works in Bali. So I'll show you. I'll put in a little clip. You won't see it here because these streets are too busy. But let me just fly in a little clip. Hang on a sec. So here I am riding in Ubud, and I've just slowed this down. This is in slow motion because I talk too much. But it's quite okay. What I'm doing here is quite the norm. And you're not going to get people blowing their horn and going, "Oh my God, what's this idiot doing?" This is fine. Everybody does this. It's just okay, there's a bit of space. I'm just going to chuff up the outside. And the only people that are not doing it are probably jealous that I am, and they're just waiting for me to get out of the way. So let's run it again in real time. So yeah, I was about to attempt to go up and around that other car, but then I thought, no, there's not quite enough space between the oncoming car for my mirrors. That actually becomes a problem too when you can do it on the inside, so you can go between the gutter and and that car there. You just whip up the left here, which I think am I about to do. I'm having a good look at it, and I'm like, okay, can we? It's not quite. There's a bit of dirt. It's a bit slippery. And maybe I just can't. Look, I must be able to get around this guy somehow. But it's all sort of in a relaxed state. That's why I was whistling before, because you're just kind of cruising along. And look, you're only doing 40 kilometers an hour. So, I don't know. That's how people ride over there. But so imagine imagine if you've never ridden. You're going to hop on the bike and you're just going to have things coming at you. And people like me, but look, honestly, it's very, very much the norm. I wish I was talking over some footage that actually showed more proof of what I'm saying. But think of when you're walking too, like if you're crossing the road, like this is another biggie. So, if you're crossing the road, you can just cross the road, like you just walk, and then you just kind of put your hand out, and if the traffic is slowed, then they will acknowledge you and just slow. So what you haven't got all of that horn blowing, beep beep, get out of my freaking way, like that's you only get a bit if it's like I'm just about to go here, I'm just about to do that, and you go beep. It's like, oh, okay, thanks man for letting me know. That's what the horn's for in Asia, in Bali. Yeah, so that's all I'll really say about that. I'm going to finish with like the absolute worst one in Bali, and that's the expat that's living there or so-called living there, and they perhaps are not making as much money as they want to be. And they will suddenly appear very friendly and very helpful and very knowledgeable, and they know everything about Bali and everything about the culture, and hey, you stick with me, kid, and I'll point you in the right direction. But what you'll end up getting is ripped off one way or another. It's a generalization, but I don't know any expats that are not wankers. But, they don't like us either, I suppose, because we come over there with lots of dough. They're working for local money. Obviously the chefs and things in the major hotels are making good money, or if they've got a really thriving restaurant, they might be doing okay. But it's really their summer vacation house, isn't it? I mean, unless you like, even Donald Trump has decided to not, he's had a block of land there for 2 years, promising to develop it, and he never has. And then David Hasselhoff's got another block, and he's not done anything with it yet because these people are business people, whereas the expat, running the local business, restaurants, etc., just like people wanting to live the dream. And they will find that they start to run out of money, and then they'll try to figure out ways to get yours. The other version of that is the friendly fellow traveller. Like, be really careful who you make friends with and what you do with them and what they offer and what you accept. I mean, the fact is that most theft happens when you're traveling from a fellow traveler, not from the Balinese, not from the locals at all. It's somebody else in your dorm, it's somebody else in your hotel, it's somebody else that knows about you, that can relate to you on a different level and go, yeah, hey, what's up? Where are you going today? Oh, yeah, I'm just going to go down the beach for a few hours. All right, yeah, cool. I guess your laptop will be all right in the room, will it? I mean, it's really, really the truth, and it's really, really fact. It's absolute fact that most theft when traveling occurs from fellow travelers. So just be wise and make your friends and enjoy yourself and do your thing. But just be aware that like that person that seems really friendly and helpful and very, very willing to chat in the mornings, but doesn't necessarily kind of hang out with you all day every day. Maybe that's a good way to tell. I think. I mean, if they're hanging out with you all day every day, that you should be okay. I don't know. Like, I'm just making it up as I go along. But the fact is that is a fact. So beware of expats and beware of your fellow traveller stranger. And if I could just sort of round up by adding some comments that a subscriber dropped, and I contacted, and he was more than happy to let me reinstate them, reuse them, recycle them. They were great. And the first one is that just take common sense with you and understand where you are, which is in a foreign place, in a different country, where some of the perceived protections that you had at home may not be in place to fall back on. And try not to be that foreigner who wakes up from a drunken night having been robbed by the same so-called friend and or love of your life that you might have met the night before in a questionable bar or on the street maybe. If you are taking people back to your room, put your valuables away in the safe before you leave your hotel for the impending night of madness you're about to embark on, or maybe just do that anyway, because Bali has a tendency to sort of get you in moods that you may not have felt before, and situations you may not have envisaged. It's a relaxing, engaging, involving, and yes, all-encompassing kind of groove that you'll find yourself in. And especially, just don't be that foreigner who engages with the police in a confrontational manner, as you do when they stop you in your country, or you might. Don't do that in Bali. Like, honestly, you have to be super polite and super gracious and just, try to understand the situation, what it is that they are trying to achieve with you. Speak very clearly and politely. And I'm sure that you will find exactly the same in return. I was stopped by a policeman thinking that I was going to be up for some sort of fine. He says, "Where have you come from?" And I said, "I just came from Norm's bar. I was trying to catch up with Norm, but he's sick at the moment and he's not there." He says, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I just came around this way because it's a one-way street and I have to, do the right thing by the road rules." And he says, "Well, where you stay in Bali?" And I said, "Well, I'm staying, at the Bali Summer Hotel." And he said, "Are you coming back around here?" I said, No, I'm just going straight home." He said, "All right, go, you go." And that was it. That was simple as that. So, yeah, you're in a different place. Know your place and enjoy Bali.
On a run from my given disaster, speed away from the holy mind, pride. I swear I never thought it would matter if I'm gone by now. All my weakness keep on linger on repeat like it will be my favorite song. Oh, I know I should be moving on, but you got me good, I keep on driving till it bends, still it feels like I pretend. Keep on driving